Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
So should we start or what?
Yes, please.
Another time. Just look it and YouTube. Okay, I'll just start. मेरी आवाज क्लियर है?
Yes, Prabhu. Loud and clear.
Okay, so I think I have to speak in English, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, so we are reading and we are discussing this topic, the spirit of sadhana, and I'll try to cover whatever points I can in this short time. Okay. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Gauravani Prachani Visheshvina Bhati Paschat. So we are discussing the spirit of sadhana, and this is mentioned by Rupa Goswami in his Nectar of Instruction directly. Now Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha nishchit hai tat karma pravartanat sadhu sangha sato vita sadvir bhakti prasiddhiti. That bhakti means here sadhana bhakti. If you want to increase your sadhana bhakti, what should we do? And Rupa Goswami mentions 6 points. Or you can say Rupa Goswami is speaking about the spirit of sadhana in 6 points. Now, the first point in spirit of sadhana is, the meaning of spirit of sadhana is to keep our sadhana, keep on going, actually not just keep on going. The Professor Prabhupada said we should increase our endeavors every day. That's what is desired. We should as Srila Prabhupada said, every day the quality and quantity of chanting and sadhana should increase. The question is how to do that, because there is illusion, there are temptations, there is bewilderment, confusions, there are so many things. So what to do? That's the question. What to do? So, how to continue our sadhana day after day, month after month, year after year, till our last breath, until our last breath. That's the point there. Generally, after some years, the sadhana dampens, it becomes mechanical and ritualistic, and devotees then fall down. That's what happens. So Rupa Goswami gives us 6 steps, which comprises the spirit of sadhanas. First step is utsaha. Enthusiasm is the most important limb or point when it comes to spirit of sadhana. Without Bhaktivinoda Thakur even comes to say to this point that bhakti means enthusiasm. He gives a synonym of devotion, enthusiasm. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, without enthusiasm, devotion is like a lifeless body. Enthusiasm is the soul of sadhana, or the spirit of sadhana. Directly, the topic comes to this point. Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes this point, enthusiasm. But now the question comes, what is enthusiasm? So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, enthusiasm means serving Krishna with intelligence. That is enthusiasm. When you serve Krishna with intelligence, then you become enthusiastic. If you're serving without intelligence, then you are like a mechanical labor. That's all. Then you don't get interest. So without interest, people then become bored of. So that's the meaning of enthusiasm. If we want, number one point on spirit of sadhana is enthusiasm. We have to remain enthusiastic. We cannot be enthusiastic if we don't find interest in that subject. It's as simple as that. So if you don't find interest in anything, it will become boring and you become enthusiastic. That's all. That's how Srila Prabhupada defines enthusiasm as intelligent, serving intelligently. That is enthusiasm. So the spirit of sadhana, that means there is a role of intelligence in maintaining the spirit of sadhana. It's not just the game of emotions. That's not the point. Emotions are important, but emotions should be founded and based on the foundation of emotions should be intelligence, a stable intelligence. Otherwise, the building of emotions is shaky and it will fall down. That's what Krishna says. I don't say that. Krishna says in 10th chapter, 8th verse, Buddha bhava samanvitaha. That's a verse. He says, Aham sarvasya prabhu matta sarvam praparthita iti matva bhajanti mam Buddha bhava samanvitaha. The foundation of bhava is buddhi. So Prabhupada brings in definition of enthusiasm, intelligence. There's quite an interesting insight which is directly taken from Bhagavad Gita. So that's the first point, enthusiasm. One, somewhere Srila Prabhupada also said, somebody asked him how to be enthusiastic. Prabhupada said, you can be enthusiastic by being enthusiastic. Enthusiasm comes from enthusiasm. Just like in Kirtan, you just stand in one corner and everybody's dancing, you'll remain standing. But if you want to dance, just join the group of the dancers and you will start dancing yourself. Isn't it? That's another method. Dance. You automatically start dancing because everybody's dancing. So similarly, if you want to be enthusiastic, be enthusiastic. Even if it's artificially. And that will generate true enthusiasm. That's why Prabhupada says, imitation of good things is good. So that is the spirit of devotion or sadhana enthusiasm. Second point is, generally when devotees are enthusiastic, they remain enthusiastic for some time and not for all the time. The graph of enthusiasm goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So what to do? Rupa Goswami gives another point, Nishchay. That is, what's the meaning of Nishchay? Determination? Yeah. Fixing the goal, determination. Prabhupada says fixing the goal. So the second point in spirit of sadhana is determination, which comes from understanding and fixing the goal of sadhana. So that means the spirit of sadhana largely depends on what is your sadhana. That is why Mahaprabhu says sadhya sadhana. Nirnay, Ramananda Rai Mahaprabhu's discussion. So you have to clear your goal. What's your goal? What's the goal of Vaishnavism? Not just Vaishnavism, but what's the goal of Gaudiya Vaishnavism? That should be laser pointed clear. Otherwise, we'll lose the spirit. So Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, due to lack of goal, the mind is frustrated. So you might say, okay, well, I know the goal. The goal is the love of God. Or you might say, okay, I know the goal of life. It's preaching. No, it's not the goal of life. Not preaching. Preaching is one of the orders of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you have to execute. But the goal of life is love of God. Preaching is for producing love of God and distributing love of God. So love of God, that is the goal, but that's in a very general sense. But then you have to go in detail. So just like Prabhupada says, for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it is love of God in separation. But this is also very general. If you go in more details, then you will come to understand what is the definition of love. What is separation? You see, all these points have to be considered very carefully. And this is all explained in Nectar of Devotion and Chaitanya Charitamrita Srila Prabhupada explains. So that's determination, second point. The spirit of sadhana can be made by determination, which is again determined by the clarity of goal which you have in your life. Now, devotees who are practicing sadhana for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 10 years, 11 years, 12, 15, 16, 20, they generally lose patience because it's not easy to get love of God. You don't get immediate results in devotion. Of course, you get immediate results in devotion in the sense, Rupa Goswami says, as soon as you start devotion, there is klesha, agni, shubda, reduction of mental anxieties, you start getting good qualities. But to attain love of God, that takes a lot of time. So devotees lose patience in the way. That's why Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha Nishchit Dharya. You need dharya. If you want to maintain spirit of sadhana, you need patience. It'll take time to become pure. Don't become impatient. Give yourself time. You might have got bad habits or mental weaknesses which will obstruct your sadhana. No problems. Keep on going patiently. Don't get disturbed. That's the point. That's the third point. The spirit of sadhana can be maintained by patience. That is, don't get disturbed by your mental bewilderments or external politics. No, just remind yourself, I am spirit soul, I am servant of Krishna, my purpose is to serve Krishna. Rest of the things are temporary, they'll come and go. I should not be affected by that. Just as so many rivers enter the sea, but sea is unaffected. So like that. So third is patience, which is which can be tested by our mental state when we are in problematic situations or bewildering situations. If we maintain our equipoise, mental balance, and we are not disturbed, then that produces patience. And the devotee can continue in sadhana. But the question now comes is, okay, we can maintain patience, enthusiasm, determination, but Yeah. But still, it's easy to be distracted and fall down. Guru Bhagavad Gita says, fourth thing. Yeah, if you want patience, enthusiasm, determination, from where do you get this? The question is, from where do you get this? Undeterred enthusiasm, undeviated determination, and unstoppable patience. How do you get this? Get this by tat karma pravartanat. You have to follow previous acharyas. You have to read their life history. You have to follow their advices, and that will keep you enthusiastic, patience, and determined. They have charted out a system, given advices, they have given warnings, and their life history is there. So by doing this, tat karma pravartana, that's the fourth point. We can maintain our spirit of sadhana. That's why daily we should read about some saint, his life history, his or her life history, their teachings, somewhat, so that we remain inspired and we remain alive in Krishna consciousness. That's the whole point. We don't die. Without spirit, sadhana is a dead body. So let's not die. Let's keep ourselves alive. Just like if you want to keep fire alive, if you want to keep the fire going on, you keep the fire going on, then you have to put either wood or some fuel in it continuously. Similarly, if you want to keep the fire of the devotion going on, the spirit of sadhana, you want to keep your sadhana going on, there should be some spirit. You should keep on. You have to keep on adding. You have to daily read some saint to get inspired, their teaching or something you have to do as you die. Pravartanat. Then after that, sadhu sangha. Now, I mean to say, you can read previous life history, saints, and you can read the teachings daily, but you need some alive, you need some life company. Without a life company, you become bored, isn't it? Anybody can become bored. Even in the best college, so even if you're in the best college in the world, engineering college, best engineering college in the world, your best teachers, best subject, but you need some friends, otherwise you lose your mental balance. You become defocused. So that means you need association of good devotees who have enthusiasm, who have patience, who are determined, who have faith in previous acharyas, or who are trying to cultivate, who want to advance. That's the whole point. Who are alive in themselves, who want to become healthy and go back to God. That kind of, whose heart is kindling with fire to attain God. That kind of association is required. Sadhu Sang. Devotees, you want to spend sleepless nights discussing about Krishna and days serving Krishna. Isn't it? Ratre ki, what's that?
Dine kari kirtan, ratre kari ramasang.
Dine kirtan, ratre rasaswadan. That's what Mahaprabhu is doing. So that's what is Sadhu Sang. So spirit of sadhana can be maintained by Sadhu Sang, fifth point, and the sixth is Sato Vritaha. This is very important. Even if we have Sadhu Sang and if we are following everything and so we are reading previous life, saints' history, pastimes and the teachings and enthusiastic patience with the mind, but if we don't have Sato Vrita, if we don't have good qualities, if we don't cultivate good qualities in us, Brahmanical qualifications, as they say. If I said I want to make Brahmins in Krishna conscious movement, that means if you don't have good qualities, Yasyasi Bhakti Bhagavati Kinchana. What's that verse? 11? No, 10. What's this verse? Haribol. Yasyasi Bhakti Bhagavati Kinchana. आज ही तो बताया उसने. 10, 12, 10, 15. I just forgot. Oh, 5th canto.
5 chapter.
5th canto.
5th canto, 5 chapter, 15 verse.
No, 12th verse. 5th canto 18th chapter 12 or something like this. Yashasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Kinchana, that's a verse. So all good qualities manifest in the devotee. So we have to develop good qualities in us. Abhyam Satvasam Shuddhir, Jnanam Astikyam Archavam, that is fearlessness, simplicity, cleanliness, philosophical mind, austerities, truthfulness, humbleness, tolerance. All these good qualities we have to develop, because only when we develop these good qualities, only then our mental frame is in such, so is in a position to grasp the teachings of saints and to remember their teachings and follow them. Otherwise, we'll forget everything. We'll read and we'll forget. We'll take sadhu sang, but we'll not be able to grasp their advices or absorb and imbibe their advices. So that's the meaning of Satavrita. Moral good qualities, divine qualities, not moral qualities, divine qualities. 5, 8, 12, I think. Yashasti Bhakti Bhagavati Kinchana. So like that, what's that? 5, 18, 12, okay. 5, 18, 12. So that's what Rupa Sadbir Bhakti Prasiddhyati. It's a beautiful advice by Rupa Goswami. He actually compresses everything into one verse. And if we try to follow Rupa Goswami's advice, we will always remain enthusiastic and determined and patient, and a spirit of sadhana will remain alive in sadhana. Even after many years, even after so much politics going around us, even after so much health problems or family problems or mental disturbances, if we follow this single advice of Rupa Goswami, we will maintain spirit of sadhana always. But the point is, that's why I explained what is enthusiasm and determination and patience, karma pardana, because devotees read this verse and they think, okay, I have to be enthusiastic, determined, and patient. Well, I am enthusiastic, determined, and patient, and then that's the whole problem. That's why it's necessary to define what are these and how to acquire them and how to maintain them. So you have to be enthusiastic, determined, and patient. Enthusiasm is related to intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Determination is related to goal in Krishna consciousness. Patience is related to, what's that? Keep on going. Keep on going. Patience is related to what? Anyway, patience, yeah. So daily you have to keep on going, and so anyway. So what did I say? Patience related to what? I just told you.
1, 2 साल 15 साल.
Anyway, we can refer. So these three qualities, but then how to get these three qualities? Karma Pradhana, you have to read previous lives history, previous lives of saints, their teachings, but then how to really interpret them properly, you need sadhu sang, good sadhu sang. But then how to imbibe and absorb the advices of sadhu sang, you need to develop good qualities and practice them. And if you can do that, then your spirit of sadhana is keep on increasing. The bar will keep on increasing, and we will keep on going, and it will help others also to keep on going. That's the whole idea. Okay, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. Any questions? I just want to take questions.
No. 9.
Okay, any questions are there? I just stop here because it's good to take questions rather than keep on going.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
You already talking about the goal. So my question is related to that. In suppose education or any be set the goal according to suppose short term goal, middle term goal, long term goal. For example, we have to, suppose we are in a bhakti, so we have to achieve this much in 1 month. Suppose this much in park, that is in 1 year. So can we set the goal according to that?
Yeah, and bhakti also,
We can in another way we can overlook our progress in, suppose in 1 month join, suppose
yeah,
in
of
1
course,
month, 2 months, we have
of
to
course.
overlook.
See
And
the point is, no, the point is, yeah, you're right. The short-term goal, mid-term goal, long-term goal. You're right. I mean, to say, one way to do this is you can check your progress monthly or 6
yes,
monthly, or you can check your progress on every Ekadashi. That's why Ekadashi is made. So, but at the same time, so of course, so this is one way to actually set your goals. This is a practical setting of goal. But then there's another way of setting the goal. For example, the immediate goal is anartha nivriti. You have to get free of all unwanted desires. The mid-term goal is to get attachment to the Lord. And the long-term goal is to get love of God. That's also one way to set the goal. That is something philosophical setting of goal. So one is practical setting of goal. One is philosophical setting of goal. Like that, we have to set up goals.
because if you not set the goal, then we can wavered.
Of course.
Yes. You already told that, suppose initially when we join to the bhakti, then our graph is going up way, then there is some flat. This is not in a bhakti. In any case, this thing is happen. So we have to motivate ourselves after some time, and that lecture is which lecture is going on. It is very helpful to all of us.
Yeah, that's true. Main thing is motivation. If we keep on getting motivated, we can life we can go, and that's where Maya will attack. She'll destroy your motivation somehow or the other. That's why Rupa Goswami gives his advices that we can keep our motivation going on. And you see, so that's when businesses, there are motivation gurus, isn't it? So we are also like motivational saints. We are trying to motivate, but giving some practical advices. Rupa Goswami gives practical advices. Okay, do this, so that you can keep yourself motivated. And associate with motivated people,
Prabhuji.
so you'll become motivated like that.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam ji.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Archana.
दिखाओ अरे मुझे कोई नहीं ठीक है यार
Okay, Mataji, thank you ji. So Prabhuji, आपने भी, you just talked about goals, right? Prabhuji, say if we have to do PhD, the goal seems very tangible, that I have to go BSc, then I need to do MSc, then I would go PhD. When I'm talking about attaining love of Godhead, I get your point. I need to look into artha-nivritti, attachment, love. It doesn't somehow still seem tangible. Like, what is the tangible thing we are going after? Philosophically,
no, tangible thing is, that's why I told tangible thing is, this is philosophical setting of goal. But then there is a practical setting of goal. For example, you set the goal. See, one thing I told, when we talk about goal, we have to clear up a goal. That was my point. Termination means clearing up your goal. So tangible is, we have to understand what is love of God. No, hardly anyone in ISKCON knows the definition of love of God, although it's given by Prabhupada in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, what's the definition of it? So anybody knows the definition of love of God here on this forum?
The
Thinking about the
satisfaction
welfare of God.
No. I'm talking about definition.
Satisfaction of Krishna's senses. Krishna,
What's that? No, that's not the definition. Krishna Indriya, Priti Vancha, Tare Boli.
Tare.
No. Dhare Prem Naam. So that is a very general way to define what is actually love of God. What is the principle of love of God? But we don't define love of God like that. That's a principle of love of God. Like, for example, I'll ask you, what is a car? Now you might say, okay, car is a vehicle to move, to go from one place to another. But that's a principle of that vehicle. That vehicle is used for going from one place to another. But you can define what's the definition of car? Definition of car is there are 4 wheels and there is a 4-stroke engine, and that's a good definition of car. It's because I mean to say, you can also use a bicycle to go from here to there, and aeroplane also. So definition is very precise. What object is that? So this is in a very general sense. Okay, this is in a very activity. Okay, this I'm doing. This is a principle, but I want a definition which includes a principle and many other things. Yeah. That is, you see, you all are right, but you're talking about some characteristics here and there. But definition must include everything. It should be all inclusive. That's what I want, definition. And Srila Rupa Goswami gives that definition. Prabhupada quotes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So my point is, you see the point, even on this forum, people don't know definition of love of God, and that's not a mistake. I mean to say, I've traveled all over the world and nobody seems to know the definition of love of God. It's quite surprising, although that's a goal of life. Now, the answer to the question, what is the tangible meaning of setting the goal? This is a tangible meaning. First, we have to clear the goal. Clear up what is our goal. Otherwise this question will come, what is a tangible meaning? Because the goal is not clear. So if you don't know the definition, then what's the meaning of clearing up the goal? So definition of love God. Rupa Goswami says, Hirdiyat se masniya, mamta atishayankita, bhavaya sandranatma, buddhai premani katyate. This is the definition Rupa Goswami gives. Prabhupada quotes in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And whatever you said, it's included in this. So you can search on internet. Prabhupada gives in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hirdiyat se marsneya. Love is that. Love is defined. Love of God is that state where heart melts. Hirdiyat se marsneya. Heart melts due to intense service attitude. Mamta atishayankita. And there is intense, so there's not just intense service attitude, but there is intense attachment to the point of possessiveness. That Krishna is mine and I am Krishna's. That kind of possessive attachment. Bhava sandranatma. And bhav is very intense. Bhav here means either emotions for God, or bhav can also means the spiritual anxiety, what you were talking. That intense spiritual anxiety to serve. When all this is combined together, then buddhai, then one more thing. There is very high level of intelligence and philosophical understanding at that point of time. It's not just love of God means you're just flowing in air, or you're saying Radhe Radhe in Barsane. No, Rupa Goswami is both high. There's intense and high level of philosophical understanding, to the point Sunipuna, Shastra Sunipuna, Rupa Goswami says, you're so adept with philosophical tools that you can harmonize all contradictions in scriptures. When all these four elements combined, then that is called love of God. Now tell me. That's love of God. That's what Prabhupada says. That's what Rupa Goswami says. Now, why I'm telling you this is because to give you an impression that the goal of life is not clear to all of us. Because we never bothered to clear out the goal of life. Why? Because we have to chant Hare Krishna and be happy and keep on going. No, that will not suffice. We'll lose the spirit of sadhana. We lose determination. If we can't see the goal, we'll stop walking. We lose our patience and endeavors. We can't see where we are going. So what's the point? So that's the point of clearing up the goal. But now comes the next question. If this is love, then what is the nature of love? How does love expand and mature and move? In what ways love moves in the heart of devotees? In what ways love attracts devotees? In what way love attracts Krishna? Vishaya and Ashray, Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Devotion. In what ways love becomes stimulated in the heart of various different kind of devotees? This is, by the way, Nectar of Devotion. So we have to read Nectar of Devotion like Law Book, Prabhupada said. So when we clear up the goal, and of course, what is the shelter of love, this love of God, this kind of love of God? That is Srimati Radharani, who is Ashray. So then comes, okay, now this is a goal. Now then comes how to achieve that goal. That is, then we are talking about some tangible part, how to achieve the goal. And that will actually define your sadhana. Then we will understand how to chant properly. Otherwise, we'll be simply chanting, chant and hear some sound vibration. That is, Prabhupada said, but that is very basic instruction. If you go beyond that, I mean to say, so you will not go to Rupa Goswami and say, chant and hear sound vibration. No, that's not the point. It's a very basic instruction. That's okay for all of new people, but then you have to go beyond that. So when you understand the goal, then you can chant in proper spirit. When you understand the goal, then you can remain enthusiastic. When you understand the goal, then you can make some practical, tangible path on the devotion. For example, then you will be able to recognize all the obstacles on the path, because now you know the goal and you can see the path and you know the obstacles. And then when we will see the obstacles in our heart, then we will find some practical ways to get rid of those obstacles. There's so many obstacles which we even don't know. And slowly, as the goal becomes clear, the path will become clear by the shining rays of that goal. As the sun rises, the way becomes clear. So we will start seeing various problems in our heart, in our life. And then when we see the problems, to get rid of them, we will have to make some practical changes in our life. And that's something tangible. Okay, I have to change this, I have to change this, I have to change this. And how much time I have to change these things? Yes. 3 months, 1 year, or whatever. So then you set the goals to actually get rid of your anarthas, which we can see gross, subtlest, and also take some practical steps so that we don't fall back in those habits again. That's also some practical setting of goals. And then we also have to complete books and there's so many books to clear up many doubts. When you start clearing up what's the goal, there will be so many doubts, so many contradictions. So then you have to set goals. Okay, I will finish Bhagavatam in 1 year, finish CC in 1 year, whatever I mean to say. All these goals also have to be set up. So these are the practical setting of goals. And then in preaching, how much preaching I have to do, how much time I have to spend on myself, how much time I have to spend on others, that also have to be delineated and settled properly, otherwise we'll fall down. So this is all tangible things like that.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Seems like all the 4 points that you said they could be sub goals, and they could be further divided to two sub goals.
Yeah,
Like
that's
intense service, possessive attachment, and emotional
that's
attachment.
true.
Like these could be further divided into so many chunks. ठीक है जी. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare
And good
Krishna.
pointers too about how much we should be preaching and all. Hare Krishna ji.
Hare Krishna. Molt good.
Hare Krishna. Archana Mataji, you want to ask something?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
Prabhuji, you said that short-term goal, you said while should set as anartha nivritti. But then, Prabhuji, we also know that this goal takes the this takes the longest. Sometimes we take even lifetimes doing this. So,
No, that I
how do
was
we
mentioning
understand?
that. No, actually, not really short-term goal in the sense that that we have so many bad habits, but then you choose one bad habit which is really bothering you, and then try to set a time limit. In that time limit, I will try to get rid of it with some practical solutions, and then take next and next and next and next, or take some weakest bad habit and go from down to up, not from up and down. So that's the meaning of short-term goals when it comes to nurturing. So suppose if somebody drinks alcohol, we ask him to chant Hare Krishna, and then he decides, okay, I'll leave alcohol in a month. I'll do this, and then he leaves. So like that. So different habits you have to leave. We have to list down our problems in our heart, and then deal with them one by one with some practical basis, with setting a time limit.
Yes, Prabhuji, but actually these anarthas, the 6 anarthas that we have, okay, these are the habits.
No, it's not 6 anarthas. Actually, that's another seminar. What's anartha? You have to make a list of some practical anarthas. Kam, krodh, lobh, moh, mad, matsarya. We don't talk about that. When we say what is anartha, like that, people say, okay, kam, krodh, lobh, moh, mad, matsarya. It's a very general thing. I'm going to say that even that doesn't make any sense.
But Prabhuji,
So,
all the bad habits that we have, they are a manifestation of these anarthas.
Yeah. But not with the root. This is a root. You'll not be able to deal with the root, which is strongest. First, you have to nip the buds, and like that you have to go that way. Otherwise, we will fail. So, like for example, somebody cannot get up for Mangal Aarti. Some practical anarthas which you can tangibly pinpoint. This you can't pinpoint. Lust, anger. I mean, it's a very general thing. So okay, so you make a list. I can't get up for Mangal Aarti. That's one problem. Some real problems in life. Or I sleep while chanting. Or after 10 minutes reading, I lose interest. These are anarthas list. And this we have to deal. Otherwise, you see, I asked many devotees, okay, list anarthas. So most of them, this is a list. Kam, krodh, lobh, moh, mad, matsarya. But that's not anarthas. That is the basis of anarthas. But what practical defects you have, that's the list of anarthas we are talking, and then we have to deal with them. That's all.
So here, generally what happens is, in a disease, we want the Ayurveda tries to remove it from the root, and allopathy generally treats it symptomatically. I think we have to treat this symptomatically, like allopathy, more than Ayurveda.
Yeah. First, symptomatically, because root is very strong. You see, even Ayurveda also. Even Ayurveda. So there are two things in Ayurveda. One is Prakriti, one is Vikriti. So Ayurveda goes to root, but first Ayurveda tries to relieve the patient symptomatically. If the patient is having pain, lot of pain, you can't first treat the root. Otherwise, he will not even take your medicine. He's in pain, he'll shout. Or he's having fever, you have to bring down the fever. So these are called Vikriti or symptoms. So yeah, I mean to say, so even Ayurveda, if you strictly talk about Ayurveda, don't go to allopathy. The technique is this: first, treat the symptoms which patient cannot comply with. So we have this kind of symptoms. We can't get up from Mangala Aarti, this problem, we sleep and this. So when we have dealt with that, then comes the subtle part. Then comes the root. Okay, now we are ready. We are strong to fight with strong enemies there. So first you have to weaken the enemy. In other words, in Prabhupada's words, Prabhupada says, when there's a war, you first weaken the enemy, otherwise you lose them. So we have to weaken the enemy by first making our practical gross habits correct. And then we can deal with these subtle forces. These are forces in our heart, and then we'll be able to deal with them. So that's the point there. So you want to say, with that? I mean to say, so you got the point. You got the point. That's the point.
Yes, Prabhuji, and one more thing. You also said that if you don't have enthusiasm, you try to behave enthusiastically. But the enthusiasm, if you try to behave artificially, first of all, it is a sort of, you can say it's a sort of an hypocrisy. And secondly, it's very difficult to maintain that enthusiasm. The enthusiasm which comes from within.
It's not hypocrisy. Srila Prabhupada says imitation of good things is good. So we try to be enthusiastic. We become enthusiastic. I mean to say, you see the point. If you're sad, then there is a therapy that you start laughing. There's a therapy like that. Laughing therapy.
Yes.
And then you really start laughing, and your whole thing, all the sadness, depression, it comes out, and you become relieved. So that's also one way. But to do that, you have to get association, and as I told you, have to apply your intelligence in Krishna consciousness, and then that we can maintain that enthusiasm. But in the end, I mean to say, in the end, this thing will work. Only one thing will work. I must be enthusiastic at any cost. You know why? Because not being enthusiastic makes Krishna really unhappy. So first point is, I mean to say, so already we are doing too many things to annoy Krishna. Already we are in that position. Although Krishna consciousness is making Krishna happy, but we are doing too many things beyond limits to make him unhappy already. And so let us, and already we are falling down again and again and doing so many nonsense things and making Krishna depressed, by the way. But so let us not become unenthusiastic, because if we become unenthusiastic, then Krishna loses a hope that this case is gone. Until and unless we are enthusiastic, Krishna has a chance to work on us. But if we sit and we become unenthusiastic, then he loses the hope, because till the time the child is walking on its own, trying to walk on its own, when the child is like 1 year, 1.5 years, then there are always chances to actually make him learn how to walk and how to run. But if the child sits and if it doesn't even walk on its own, then parents lose the hope. Then you have to go to the doctor. Like that. So that's why we remain enthusiastic, so that Krishna doesn't become sad in spite of our pitfalls and fall downs. First of all, we make him. So first of all, we hurt him by falling down, and then we hurt him by becoming depressed because of falling down. That's twice blunder. So okay, anyway, we'll fall down, and we'll fall. That point. Yeah, otherwise it's a problem.
Yes, Prabhuji. And one last thing, that Prabhuji, you also said we need to cultivate divine habits. But now we have heard and we have read also that once we purify our consciousness, we purify our minds by doing our basic sadhana, we don't really need to cultivate them. They develop on their own. Then should we really endeavor to...
You're right, it is said. That's why I quoted this verse, 5:18-12. Yasyasti bhaktir bhavat yakinchana samasates, what's that? Sasi Bhakti Bhagavati Kinchana, Tatra Samasate Surha, Hara Bhaktase Kutomatmana, Manorathina Sati, Dhavato Bhahi. Sasi Bhakti Bhagavati Kinchana, what's that? Tatra Samasate Surha. Something I forgot second line. But anyway, I got to the point. Yeah, Bhagavatam says if you do devotion, pure devotion, then automatically all divine qualities of demigods and gods will appear in your life. But the point here is we have to cultivate them. That's the idea. The verse doesn't say that all good qualities will actually achieve to their blossomed stage. The verse says all good qualities will manifest, but then you have to keep them with yourself. Otherwise, they can even go back and dissolve and get destroyed by our foolishness. So to actually keep those qualities and carry them forward and nourish them so that they get blossomed into flower and they become fragrant, that is the point I was talking about. That is called Satovritaha. So, and also, when we do devotion, divine qualities will manifest, but you should have eyes to identify them.
Identify, exactly. Identify.
We will not be able to even identify them. They will come and they'll go, and even we will not even know that they are already manifested and went on. So that is our part, to identify them, to carry them, to nourish them, to blossom them, and to make them fragrant, so that Krishna becomes very happy when they offer the divine qualities to him. That's the idea.
Okay, Prabhuji, understood. Thank you so much. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I have one question about this enthusiasm and kind of frustration, what might come in the bhakti, that what to do in this kind of situation. Like, for example, you see some problem in some temple and like, you know that there could be something you could do maybe about it, and you see that, you know, that it's hampering other devotees, they are not able to do their service, and you know there is some issues. So, and this kind of makes you really frustrated. And then when you understand that, you know, even if you will go to speak with some senior, then maybe nothing is going to change. It will just be the same, you know.
Yeah. So in that case, don't do anything. Do your devotion. That's all.
Just stay away.
Yeah.
Or is that the best solution? That then you don't get so frustrated?
That's the best. That's the best. See, I mean to say, if you go to seniors, nothing will change, and that's most likely scenario. You know? Mostly it happens like that. So yeah, do your own stuff, and the best thing is you can pray to Krishna. Krishna, please help these devotees. Generally, we pray for ourselves, but we can pray for them. Krishna, you can do impossible possible. I can't do anything, but it bothers me. So please help them, and that will be very nice prayer. It will be completely selfless prayer for devotees. And Krishna will do something.
Okay.
That much. And then we do our devotion, that's all. That's
it. Yeah, thank you. That cleared it up. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranamji. One more question, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you mentioned, you named 2 anarthas already, like sleeping while chanting and losing interest while reading.
Yeah.
And or we can say reading sometimes seems more enjoyable because we can contemplate on reading or think how these scriptures are telling us something versus what we are doing. So reading at times seems more enjoyable than chanting, or we lose interest in chanting, or we sleep while chanting. How do we, please help us provide some solution to get rid of these anarthas?
Yeah, these are real anarthas, sleeping while chanting. The best way is if we sleep while chanting, stand and chant. And if we are sleeping while standing, walk and chant. And if we are sleeping while walking, run and chant. And if we are getting sleep while running, then really sleep, you know, and then chant. And that's the point there. So yeah,
It seems sometimes though we sometimes
What's
it
that?
seems that we have to close our eyes in order for the mind to focus on what we are saying, to concentrate on chant. So if I stand or walk or run.
Yeah, no, you stand and close your eyes. What's the point? Stand and close your eyes. But you see the point, it's not necessary. Sometimes you feel like closing, I understand. So stand. That's all. So that's what we do. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to do. That's what Madhvenpur used to do. Everybody used to do like that. Prabhupada used to do. Prabhupada was very tired in management and this and that and that. That's why Prabhupada walked and chanted. Prabhupada said, well, we said we get sleep sometimes. So better walk. So that's what we can do. And closing eyes, opening eyes, it's individual. Yeah, sometimes we feel. So if we close eyes, there is a lot of danger to get sleep while we are sitting. So okay, stand. Some devotees don't feel sleep while closing eyes when they're sitting. So they keep on moving while chanting. And that may be one way, but if you move like you're getting electric shocks, then there's a problem. So yeah, so chanting should be in a very gentle manner and docile and simple way with love. And love is not dependent on position or eyes or like that. So concentration is dependent on position and all these things. So our process is chanting like a child's cry for the mother, as Prabhupada says. So that's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. The only thing we have to make sure while chanting is don't sleep. That's all. And you see, in one Prabhupada's time, one Prabhupada disciple was there, and he used to chant while riding the horse. And he was a horse rider. And what he used to do, he used to stand upside down on the horse, and horse was moving and he was chanting. and one of the devotee complained to Prabhupada, what's happening? He's crazy. So Prabhupada said, yeah, he's crazy. But Prabhupada said, at least he's not sleeping.
Yes.
So anyway, we don't have to chant like that. But the idea is, well, you got the idea. So that's the idea. So that's why like Ekadashi, we don't eat food. We become hungry. And that's the point of keeping hunger so that we don't get sleep. Or that's the point of all tapasya. So some people, every olden days, they were standing on one leg and chanting so that they don't get sleep. You see, these were all practical things they were trying to do. Some people were actually standing in water, half submerged. You go in Haridwar, in half they're in Ganges, like in cold water, so that they don't get sleep. In summers, people are putting fire, panchagni. It is all to avoid sleep. So we do something. So or you keep juice with yourself, some lemon juice, or keep on drinking in between, or some water when you get sleepy. Do something and just don't sleep. That's
And also, Prabhuji's second point would be when we are reading sometime. Well, why, or maybe just me, why reading seems more enjoyable than chanting?
Because reading, our intelligence is involved. So many points are there. Intelligence involved. That's why. So intelligent people, they don't get sleep while chanting, while reading. But people who are not that intelligent, they will even sleep while reading. Because something should be going on in the head. If everything stops, then you get sleep. So our intelligence is moving. So we are getting philosophical points. It's active. So we don't get sleep. But while chanting, you don't need intelligence. So everything is shut. So it's gone. So that's why chanting is very difficult, because chanting is, you don't need mind, you don't need intelligence, you don't need anything except your soul. It directly comes from the soul. That's the activity of soul. In reading, there's a part action of intelligence. Or in kirtans, there is a part of action of mind and ears and sound. So we even don't sleep while kirtan, but chanting is purely soul. Everything is shut off, we sleep, because our soul is now dead. It's partially alive. We don't have interest in Krishna. So everything goes to off, sleep. That's why.
And then, Prabhuji, one last thing. I was listening to one of your lectures where you said when you are chanting, think about as if the words, the 16 words of Hare Krishna are Krishna himself. Like you start teaching your mind that they are Krishna himself. Somehow,
Yeah, that's true.
I can't connect
Somehow
with this.
what?
Like, how do we preach our mind that this is Krishna? You can't touch and feel.
No. You have to be convinced that Krishna's name is Krishna himself. That conviction is required. So how to develop that conviction? By reading about holy names. So there is Rupa Goswami's Namashtakam. There is so much about holy name in 6th canto. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also writes, Prabhupada writes. So when we keep reading about holy name, we become convinced this is Krishna. And then when we chant, we remember Krishna. This Krishna's name is himself. I'm directly in touch, in contact with Krishna. Then we advance like that. That's the meaning of preaching. We read the glories of holy name. That's the idea.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna ji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, there should be some timeline to resolve each anartha, small or big. Otherwise, somebody will say he will continue, and this resolution for anarthas will go till lifetime. So practically, should.
So you decide timeline for yourself. Everybody decides themselves for them. It's individual thing. Something individual.
Okay, bro.
And if we can't meet the deadlines, not the timeline, then you have to give punishment to yourself. That's the idea. You can't die because it's you cross a deadline, but you have to give punishments. So then you have to decide a punishment also. Otherwise, what's the point of, like you are saying, otherwise there's no point of giving a deadline or timeline. It will just keep on going. So there comes a role of punishment. We give ourselves punishment. So either do some fasting or do something, or write some glories of Vaishnavas as a punishment.
Right. Yeah.
Something.
Understood. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. It becomes mechanical because that's why I told you, because we don't understand who is Krishna. It's not clear in our mind. Even after 20 years, we find ourselves in the same position, or maybe 2% advanced. That's not a big advancement in 20 years. So then we lose enthusiasm, it becomes mechanical. But then we are seeing the picture from our end. But if you see the picture from Krishna's end, then we will understand that we are there for 20 years. It's a big thing. We are still there in the process. People are lost, in this material world. And that's a big mercy of Krishna. Krishna is so merciful that in spite of our faults and in spite of our nonsense, stupidity, in spite of being a botheration on his head, he keeps us with him. He's so nice. He's so merciful. So you see, if we look from his end, we can appreciate his qualities. And simply by appreciating his qualities, we like to be with him always and like to follow him with full enthusiasm. And that will keep us going on entire life. And that is called devotion, by the way, appreciating his qualities. We lose enthusiasm because we start seeing the picture from our end and we forget the other picture from his end. And when we see everything from our perspective, that's called Maya. And that leads to depression. Ritartham yat pratiyete na pratiyete cha atmani. Tadvidya atmano maya metha vahasu yatham. So when we are seeing picture from our end, then it leads to fear. Bhayam ditya vinivishitasyat. We are separate, Krishna separate. And now here we are seeing Krishna from our perspective. And that's also a problem. We have to see ourselves from his perspective. That is Krishna consciousness. And then we never lose enthusiasm. Because in Krishna's eyes, he's still keeping us. Why is he keeping us in spite of a complete nonsense? He's so merciful. He's all merciful, all forgiving. And this qualities attract our heart. And then it gets rejuvenated and we want to advance and serve him in spite of all faults. We keep on going like that.
And Prabhuji, there is one more question that sometimes, we try to overanalyze things and it just leads to, like we just pick up some small things and we start to overanalyze them or try to churn out some other meaning, or maybe this is what, and even sometimes our realizations are such that we try to see some verses or some words of Srila Prabhupada in different light.
Okay,
So
that's okay. That's nice. I mean, to say analysis is good. We have to analyze. Prabhupada says you have to analyze Bhagavatam verses scrutinizingly. That's what actually acharyas are doing. If you read acharya's commentary, you will say they are psychopaths. they are over analyzing. They are saying what's the meaning of cha and eva here and full stop and comma and what's happening here. And they are fighting for this small cha and comma. One acharya is saying no, comma is meant for this and that. And what's happening? Keep it simple. But no, that's the whole point. Scrutinizingly trying to understand Krishna's word. That is called love. Love needs scrutiny. Love is to do with details and not with just with general principles. No. Love, when there's love, your focus increases, it gets sharpened on every detail. When you're in love with the girl, you see every detail of that girl. Every detail. That's called love. So love zooms in. Love means you're zooming in. And things become focused and enlarged. Everything, I mean to say everything. So even philosophy, even in understanding everything. So that's a sign of love, by the way. It's nice. If you're trying to scrutinize everything, small thing, trying to understand that, go in details. That's what acharyas are doing in their commentaries, and that's the sign of love, by the way. And if somebody's saying, no, things are simple, don't go in so much details, you'll become jnani, you'll become knowledgeable, philosopher, you'll not become devotee. That's a very wrong understanding. Buddhaya priyamani gadyate, I told. The definition of love, Rupa Goswami includes intelligence and philosophy. Rupa Goswami doesn't say love will make you foolish. That's not love. That's sentiments.
So then is that okay if we, still have anarthas and we are trying to do this? I mean, it might be on a mental platform or on a Gyani platform.
No, but then you check with some commentary. I mean, you have to check, otherwise you'll just keep on speculating.
Yeah.
It should be mentioned somewhere, or some check should be there. Like that.
Yes, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we're going to end up here, or what?
Yes, I don't think there are any more questions, so maybe we can stop here.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Pranav.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki
Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam ji.
Pranam Prabhu.
Dandavat pranam, Prabhu. Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare